That's so shit. Yeah. Not live yet. I hate this game. No, fuck you. Fuck you. TV size. huge. PP, PP. Alright, gonna pause that. I'll be right back. Gotta cook up some lunch.
Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Osumania 4Key World Cup 2022. My name is Juan Crystal, commentating alongside no other than Philippines legend Siloeska Els. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing alright. I'm certainly excited to see a match like Chile versus Australia, given the rosters and how close their seedings are, I believe. How about yourself? How are you doing, Juan?
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm back from a long trip to
Australia,
Brazil,
my
back to our
god,
area once
yeah.
again. And to get a match like this already, Chile versus Australia, as you can see on the screen, we get to see Miyuka playing, one of the best players in the world. But will Miyuka and everybody else in Chile, really, everyone has been playing pretty well overall, I think, in this South American roster. But can they take down Australia? Australia, always a tricky team to face, regardless of the situation.
That's true, and you did mention that you have the best player in the world, Yuka.
Oh,
but
bloody hell.
at the end of the day, this is a team game, and you absolutely must not just rely on one player, and this is just a team effort. If a team wins, it's because of all of the players that were there, not just one player, and that's something that
absolutely.
both teams should be aware of.
But I think many teams will not really complain about having a Miyuka on their side. But
Well, of course, I
yeah.
personally would love to have a Yuka on Philippines.
I mean, we all would love to have one player that is so good like he is. But regardless, Chile, it's not just Miyuka really, although he has been showing amazing scores so far. He is the captain of the team, obviously, which matters. But the rest of the team, again, we have seen consistently good performance by pretty much every player that stepped into the game from Chile. They have always been a very difficult team to face. They have a very, very intense matchup against Spain in the round of 32, if I recall correctly. And they advanced through it. I think they had to face Brazil, which unfortunately they couldn't take because, well, I mean, it's Brazil. We're talking about the defending champions. And now on the losers bracket against Australia, we'll see if they can keep their lives for the rest of the tournament. They will have to play another match if they manage to win this, but it is the first step to continue through this losers bracket journey, really.
That's true, and just for a recap, Chile banned Lion Zeta and Australia banned Justify My Love, so I believe this is the first time Marinol is wide open for either of these teams, and oh man, I'm very excited to see that. I would really like to see Marinol at least once on stream. Don't we all?
I mean, I obviously really enjoy watching SVs as a spectator. As a player, maybe sometimes, depending who I'm facing, really.
Like, I know what you feel, but like at the end of the day, even if you don't know what to feel about a map, you gotta practice it if you want to have a shot at winning.
Absolutely, yeah. But now we're going straight into LNs, as expected really from Australia, I believe, targeting these sort of implied LN weakness that Chile has historically. Is a good thing to start up the gate, especially with players like Ruka, which is one of the better LN players in the tournament as well. Very well known for his skills, comboing through pretty much anything really that gets thrown at him. And started with density of all picks that they could have gone for. I think it's very smart, especially considering how hard the release pick is this time. Like, this release pick feels so much harder than anything else in the pool, at least in my opinion. So easy to drop 200s.
I mean, like, comparing the LNs in general from, like, let's say 2019, 2020, it's night and day. I believe for quarterfinals you would have something like B that level in 2020, and like right now this is certainly a lot harder than B.
Absolutely, like B is a map by maybe like it is something you can consistently double S if you're like a pretty decent LM player, but you have to be very good at it if you want to get it even close to an SS this time on the release pick. But this is the density pick, so we're gonna check if the players have enough to compete in this, and so far so good. Rook is the only one who's holding the 99.5% accuracy here, but just catching up, and the score gap is very small.
I mean, in general, Australia has a very balanced and overall just almost the same accuracies, but I master drop to 200 here and there. Well, in Chile, overall, Muka and Jandarin are being the forefront of the country, while Bad CL is not that far behind, actually.
Yeah, just behind Ruka, in fact. And the other two Australians are quite behind compared to Miyuka and John, which again makes
don't buffalo.
sense. It's a very accuracy-oriented team as well, Chile, that is. So beating them without a combo advantage is going to be very hard. And as it stands right now, it seems like Chile is holding a fairly decent lead, mostly off the back of this ratio by Miyuka. This is the hardest section of the map. These longer LNs are very hard to coordinate properly, so misses are bound to happen at any point of time. But so far, so good. Again, every player just coming through this like if it's nothing.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see a 6-way FC so far, but that can change in the ending part. That is when the full density just really starts, and some burst, but no one is missing. No one missing it. That's it.
6-way FC though, like thus far, it's incredibly good already. But can they keep up through this last quarter? Again, gets very tricky and a bit denser as well. The trills are happening. Nobody misses on a trill.
Oh my god, the fact that the team could lose with a 3-way FC nowadays is just really insane. But really, the difference is just between Miyuka and the rest of the Australian team. 99.85 is ridiculously good. And I think that secures the point for Chile, a break point to start. That would be so good for Chile, and I am also unfortunately will break at the end.
Hey, 6-way FC.
I was about to say, don't call it too early, because that last bit is choke bait. But fortunately for Chile, it wasn't for them. It was Australia who found the final miss, the nail in the coffin for this first pick. Ayamasu, good performance until the very end, and Miyuka of course just showing what he does best. Accuracy, combo, 995k for him, very insane score, but Ruka not so far behind with a 990k. I feel that Australia, if they can find a miss from Chile, they have what it takes, especially on the Lens and Hybrids, to compete against the Chileans.
See, what I just realized was, well, we went from Ellen, and I just noticed, but it seemed like their ratios were just almost the same overall. They just couldn't secure the low 200 count, which Chile did absolutely amazing in.
Absolutely. Like, Miyuka, of course, had the best ratio of the room, but everybody else was very close to each other. And the 200 counts were not all that far apart either. It was like IMAS with 20 something, and the rest were like on the 10s or on the single digits, depending. And that's not that big of a deal. That is still something that can be compromised with just a miss. That is a lead that is not big enough. But now for a ham, straight from Longnose into Rise here, and this is the arguably the densest map of the pool. It's fairly short, 1 minute and 33 seconds, and 244 BPM. Gets to hand streams at some points as well. So we shall see. This is very easy to choke as well, especially if you lack the control for it. But we shall see. I imagine Chile will be fine, especially now that we see alternation being the first miss of the lobby, but getting instantly traded by Niflox, and quite a big miss actually.
That is true, but Aimasu missing is unfortunately gonna trade it back. Chile with a pretty big advantage as of the moment. This map is not friendly to people who cannot keep up with high BPM. I don't think it's as dense as the other jump stream handstream pick, but this one is certainly fast.
I mean, I think it's denser and slightly slower than the other, but even still, it gives you enough breaks to recover and burst through the jump streams, as you mentioned, which is why it maybe feels not as hard as you may have expected initially. But regardless, Chile is now running away with a huge lead right now, off of the back of Miyuka's 99.97, which just keeps rising, by the way. And with a third of the map remaining, there is enough time for chokes to happen, but at this point there have to be massive chokes here from the Chileans. I imagine 2 misses is what Australia is looking for. And with just a quarter of the song remaining, not that many combo anymore to be dropped. Shall see if they have enough time, even with them.
I don't see it anymore. You would need to hope for a triple miss from Chile. I think a full team miss should give it to Australia, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. So I think it's
just
a
keeps
4
increasing.
Wait, how did that increase despite the miss from Netflux? But
it was a very clean one. The accuracy didn't
very
go low at all at that point. Look at that ratio by Miyuka. 29. 300s.
300s. And again, overall, the ratios for Chile and Rice is just a lot better than the Australian side. The lowest ratio, the lowest amount of 300s being alternation is just still a lot more compared to Zan, who had the lowest 300 count in Chile.
Yep, 50 may not look as like a lot, but really when we're talking a map that has above 1600 nodes and just barely, 50 nodes are a lot when it comes to ratio. And I mean, again, it's not just competing against Zan or any of the other Chileans. You also have to keep in mind that Miyuka is just gonna 999k everything in the Rice department most likely, and that puts a lot of pressure to Australia really, which is why they go for hybrid now and long nose in general. I'm surprised they did not go for Marinol just yet, but they should at some point, going with Summer before that. Maybe this works, I'm not so sure. They're keeping the same roster.
To be fair, I do think Marinol might be better to save for later. Like maybe like as a last resort pick. Like when you're in a very, very dire situation, which I don't think it's a dire situation yet. But it's certainly bad to be down 2-0 and losing already a big point at the very start. That is not a good situation to be in.
Certainly it isn't, and that's why they have to like jump back into the game as soon as possible now. And with hybrid, they might have what it takes. On a lens, I argue again, they weren't too far apart, and if any choke ever happens from the Chilean side and they can keep this 3-way FC kind of team in the hybrids, then I believe they have a chance. But hybrids are historically known for being a bit harder to combo through than like other maps, mostly off of the back that most people are not really familiar, or not necessarily familiar, but not used to play hybrids all that much, I think. Like you're always known as a Rise player or like an LN player, and when you mix those two, you really have to be an all-rounder to play these kind of things properly. And we see that right off the gates already with a couple 200s by Ruka and Aimasu.
But I do think Faz has been dropping that accuracy, which has been helping Australia, but again, if they cannot match the 2 accuracies from Yuka and Jean Rin, it will not be that much help. Because at the end of the day, Faz CL has a lot of opportunity to increase that accuracy.
So far the lead seems to be extending in favor of Chile, but slowly. And again, we are on the range where a miss can easily change everything. So we shall see. Bit of a break here.
Yep, the lead is actually pretty short right now, and there's still so much time to come back. I think like this is a very chokeable part, but we don't see any misses surprisingly. Really impressive on both teams' end.
Nobody choking on the mini jacks over there. Nobody dropping much accuracy off of those disjointed releases, and that's incredible already. But into this very last transition, no misses either. More mini jacks, and there's the first miss, unfortunately by Ruka, which puts Australia in a very tricky spot, but fast races, and John as well. Now it's a double miss by Chile, which means that Australia now has a chance to come back off this, but Ayamatsu finally traces again, and it's a 2v2, but
Wait a minute!
Good.
Fast
Push.
drops,
again.
that's a huge... Wait, that's a huge app drop as well, so essentially
No.
Australia's gonna have a chance, but the bar is not
My God.
shrinking. I'm surprised. I think it's because of Ayamatsu dropping somewhere app.
Oh, but it is so close. This will come down to the wire, and everyone reached the 400 combo bar, but the last full combo and Australia drops, and that's gonna be it. Ayamatsu as well, finally dropping one more time to seal this 17,000 points lead in favor of Chile. They had everything they asked for. 6 misses from Chile against 5 from Australia, but now 50 from Ayamatsu, and that 200 count proving to be a bit too much for the back of these players here. Unfortunately, it's a 3-0 lead now in favor of Chile, but this one really close.
Gotta be honest with you though, if you were to look at the ratios in general, I think Australia was better than Chile, but Miyuka's 150 something 300s essentially sealed the deal for them to win that point.
It really was, and again, this is what I'm talking about when the match started. Australia and Chile are not too far apart, especially when it comes to LNs and hybrids. But when you have a player like Miyuka just making such a big difference, you really need to be playing on top notch if you want to have chances against them. And I'm very surprised by this pick from Chile actually. Daisy Cutter going for LNs, although this is actually one of the easier maps to choke, I think, in the LN department as well. So, interesting pick.
I do think it's an interesting pick, especially because I was thinking Chile could pick another Rise. So at the end of the day, if you want an LN pick, I think it should be safe to pick one more LN. But we have to see if this one's gonna work. I do think one of the worst points for Chile is probably they have a tendency to choke, but so does Australia. But accuracy-wise, it's really close, with the exception of Miyuka being a lot ahead of everyone else.
Certainly, and I'm not saying this is something that Chile cannot win. I think this is about like 50-50, which is why I think Chile should not just go for this. Like, they still have a jump stream pick to go for. They won very convincingly on the last one, and if anything, the remaining one, I think it's harder because it's so much faster. But we shall see if this strategy works out for the South Americans here, as it looks like right now they are very close again in this intro. No chokes. This map is so fun, by the way.
Yeah, this map is very chokeable. And I've seen this in so many tournaments already. Though this is the first time I see this in the 1.1 raid. But again, if you do not have this, freshly in your mind, and if you have it mind blocked, you are not going to be in a good position at all. And I do hope to see no mind blocks here.
You need a lot of control here. This section is so much harder than what it looks like. It is so easy to mind block and miss time. So 200s are prone to happen at any point in this transition. The player seems to have this section down pretty well. And the actors are not too far apart from Miyuka, of course. And into this last bit, this is when the party starts, because this is where the chokes are gonna happen. I'm sure of it. Very tricky 3-lane inverse, and we see some 200s from Ruka. It seems to be about it, but after this, slowly transitioning out of this inverse, we'll get into the hardest part of the map.
It's so close right now, actually. Any break from Chile could give it away to Australia, but it's not gonna happen. I don't think this part is very choke heavy, except for the mini jack, which is gonna come in anytime soon. No chokes either.
No misses on the mini jack, and this denser section is not proving to be any sort of difficulty for any of the players other than Alternation, who finds the break at the very end, traded by Jam, but too late for Australia to capitalize off of it. And it's Chile again who takes the pick, and this time I'll argue even closer than before. Look at those 200s, all very close. 11-11, 10-13. It's just Miyuka again, 3 against 25.
Miyuka is just carrying
the difference. But this one got a bit close. had alternation managed to full combo that ending, I think this would have been on the like 4-digit difference.
Wait, they're picking Peta Peta and not Marino? That's
No!
a big surprise. Give me
Where is my SV?
Wait a
Where
minute.
is my SV? No.
Like this is I do not think this is a viable strategy because remember, Australia lost on both of the LNs. Australia lost on a hybrid. So probably one of your choices to pick is SV, and they did not go for that. That's a big surprise for me.
I mean, maybe they just didn't practice enough and they don't want to risk it. They feel more confident on something like this. And I'll argue, all the LN picks that Australia had available, I mean, you can argue LN2, they had good chances because they had a 3-way FC. But I think this is the map that Chile would struggle the most out of the entire LN pool. So this would have been my second pick, really, if I was Australia. Considering they did very well in the hybrid as well, it's hard to blame them. But I'm not sure if this is a bad pick. I don't necessarily think this is a bad pick. Of course, I wanted to see SV2, but we'll see. Maybe Australia wins this and we have a chance to see it as well. I hate
Here we
this song,
go.
by the way.
I don't really know. I have no comment towards the song, honestly. But like, looking at Fazciel's early 200s, that's gonna hurt. But I just noticed that I and Masu also had some 200 at the start, though it should
So
not
is
matter too much
alternation.
at the end of the day. Oh wait, what? Wow, alright. This map is a very 200 bait map, I guess is what you could call it.
Yep, it absolutely is. You really need to be very, very confident on your release skills to get good accuracy on this. And so far, you can see Ruka, being the LN specialist that he is, holding a very strong accuracy, fairly close to Miyuka. But Ayamasu now finds that drop, and that is very, very, very bad. Because as hard as this map is to accuracy, it is not very hard to combo. So any miss will be insanely important. And there is one from
Easy
Chile.
time.
Wow. 99.34% accuracy. Fast is dropping a little. So is Jan, actually. So if Australia can keep up this ratio for just a little bit longer, they may have enough time to just recover off of the back of that trade. And this lead is so small right now.
It's getting really small. I think Faz matching Ayamasu's act. Oh, actually getting a lot lower now. That is going to probably give Australia the door that they really, really need.
And again, you see Fast struggling a lot with the release timings. Look at that spread. The hit spread is very, very tight and early when it comes to hits, but when it comes to releases, it's all over the place, mostly on the dragging side of things. And that is what causing Chile to be very on the edge throughout this map. And with still a third of it remaining, the difference is just about 1400 points. So anything can happen, really.
Yeah, I mean, so far, both of the teams are able to recover really well on the combo side. No misses for Muka Jean and Ruka in alternation. And so far, the acts have stayed relatively the same, but IMAS has been increasing it faster than Faz has increased, so this could probably go to Australia if it just keeps on going. But
I think
can any of
eyes
this
on
happen?
Jan. Of all players, he's the one who needs to keep this accuracy afloat as much as possible. Same for alternation. You kind of expect Ruka and Miyuka to be fighting against each other. But can these two key players now keep up with the rest of this? This is a very, very tricky section as well to coordinate. Those same hand release shields are very, very tricky. None of the players are struggling on them. An alternation finally misses.
There we
Oh
go.
no.
I think that seals the deal for Chile unless we see a team miss, and that doesn't look like it's gonna happen. This part is not that difficult compared to like the chorus or something, but alternation misses once more. I think that just secures it, and Chile is gonna take 5 points now from Australia, while Australia has none so far.
And again, you see this ratio from Australia being overall better, other than Miyuka. Again, on the 994.9k, being the absolute MVP of this matchup. And even the 200 count, I think if you combine all of the 200s between Australia and Chile, Chile just barely wins. It comes again off the back of the misses. and of that suboptimal maybe performance by Australia, I feel that on peak they would have taken that map just easily, really.
Yeah,
Now
that was just
Ego.
really unfortunate. So it looks
No
like
OSB. I cry.
same, I cry as well. But yeah, Ego going to be the pick for Chile. I'm not surprised. So we're gonna see Fluffy GMD for the first time this match. I'm not surprised as well. I was actually expecting Fluffy to play for something like Ram a while ago, though it doesn't seem like Fluffy may have been comfortable there, though right now is their chance to shine.
I think this map is so hard compared to everything else in the pool, really, because 271 BPM are already in quarterfinals. Sure, it's mostly broken jump string, so it gives you some time to like rest your hands, but also doesn't, because having breaks on maps like this, depending on the player, really can even be an unhelpful thing. If you're not very good at control, this is something that can definitely throw you off.
Wait a minute, Fluffy starting off with an 85 a while ago as you were talking about control. That is not a good sign already.
He's rushing a lot, by the way, and he misses, and he's not comfortable at all. I feel that maybe he just has a wrong scroll speed or something, because he's hitting way too early, fairly consistently early as well. It's not like he's very spread. Niflox now drops again from Chile, but considering this performance by Fluffy, he's just so much more behind, and it doesn't really matter for Chile really at this point. It's a huge lead, and it's still 2/3 of the map remaining.
But what can I just say? Yuka with a 19.96 on a map like this, well, should we even be surprised at this point?
Nah, I don't think. This is just average Miyuka plays.
Fluffy recovered pretty well, racing that back to 95 despite the potential scroll speed difference. I'm just really happy that these players are able to pull through despite conditions.
Oh, absolutely. You always like to see new people and as many players to have their chance to play. The worst case scenario is just get your nerves off, and next year you come back even stronger, really. This time from Fluffy, unfortunately not the ideal scenario really on a map that is this hard. It is very, very tricky to join a lobby like this. But if it still manages to keep up into the S rank territory here, and unfortunately for Australia that will be it, and there's another 33 regulars from Miyuka. Not quite 999k. Miyuka, come on, what's up? 49 points off, like 149 points off. Come on, you can't do better, right? What the hell is that score?
I know, man. How? Alright, according to the chat, it was a wrong scroll speed issue indeed. Unfortunately, this would also be the last time we'll see Australia in the Oceania 4K World Cup for 2022, but they absolutely did their best and was able to push through to quarterfinals, and I think that's an achievement in itself, considering how stacked this tournament has been.
Oh, absolutely. And against Chile, of all the teams, really, you're facing a very challenging opponent, and it's perfectly reasonable. Sometimes matches don't go your way, and I'll argue Australia had their chances on the lands and hybrids, really. But Chile was just ever so slightly ahead in everything, really. And now they'll have to face Indonesia, 14 UTC today. So in about 12 hours is when these two teams are gonna fight against each other for a spot into the semi-finals.
Well, that's it.
Gotta say though,